Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Ladd and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 291. We are joined here today by a third-time returning guest, and he's probably one of the most referenced. We reference this guest a lot on the podcast, just when we're having conversations with other people.
In a good way.
In a good way.
Guys.
He is Mr. Steve Bush. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm good, thanks, James and Pete. Thank you for inviting me once again to have a chat and for all the random references on some of the things I get up to on a daily basis or weekly basis.
Excellent. Well, just if you have not listened to previously, because Steve, we'll possibly just give a 30-second, like if there's been a big gap between seasons of something on TV and then they just say, here's a quick recap. We'll quickly do one.
Are you going to do the voice?
Yeah, here's a quick recap. We'll do that in a minute. But Steve has been on twice before. The first episode he was on, episode 127, was called Why Weight Loss Surgery Fails for the Majority of People. And then the second time he was on was episode 219, which was entitled Weight Loss Surgery 5th Anniversary. And we worked out just then, that was 72 weeks ago, we had Steve on. So it was about getting on for a year and a half ago, last time we spoke. And obviously, do you just want to give us like maybe maybe not a 30-second, but like a 1 to 2 minute little kind of backstory, I suppose, Steve, just for people who may not have listened to those first two episodes, about kind of your background and why we got you on in the first place.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, James. Right, background very quickly. I'm a guy, by the time you hear this episode, I would actually have turned 60, which is filling me with dread. But I was a person that all of my childhood and all of my adult life, bar about 18 months to 2 years, I was overweight. To the degree that it slowly got worse in terms of I got bigger and bigger and bigger. And 6.5 years ago, I decided I need to do something about this, but I was too big to sort of exercise or diet my way out of it because it had failed. So I decided to have weight loss surgery. And I actually applied some of the logic that I do in my professional job, which is operational change improvements and transformation, to apply that to my personal life. So I had weight loss surgery. I went from over 30 stone down to about 12 and a bit, and I'm now about 13 and a half because that's a bit of weight for me. But I was really lucky. I lost all my weight in a year, and I've been able to sustain that and changed my lifestyle. So I've gone from being someone who couldn't do anything to now can do things, and we'll talk about that probably.
Excellent. And I mean, just so that, you kind of glossed over it there. You sort of said, I was really lucky. I lost loads of weight in the year. But the first time you came on, which was like I said, the episode was Why Weight Loss Surgery Fails for the Majority of People. Because what was the statistic? I think that because you now have been involved in, I know, kind of talking to and mentoring maybe other people who are considering going through this process or have gone through this process. The success rate is actually staggeringly low in the long term, isn't it? Can you remind us approximately what it is?
I'll be honest, I haven't checked it for the last year or so. It was 1 in 5. So 1 in 5 people sustain the weight loss, and 4 in 5 put it back on. And the scary thing is that the majority of people don't lose all of the weight they need to lose. So they still are 2 to 3 stone overweight after weight loss surgery. And it's a big old thing, and it's changed a little bit now because people do the weight loss jabs as opposed to have the surgery. People still have the surgery, but a lot more people go down the jab route first of all. So people they don't lose all their weight, and they're still a couple of stone overweight, which isn't ideal, but it happens. But the ones that do lose it, most of them put it back on, which is rather sad. There's lots of good stories though, people that do it successfully, but it's about changing your mindset, and that's the key thing to sustain a change.
I was about to say that because I think I know 3 people. You, who I've never met, but I know you from this. There's a guy who comes on the walks who's had surgery, and the guy who used to cut my hair had surgery, and I think he's lost a fair amount of weight, but he didn't change his lifestyle. But you and this other guy have. So the guy who comes on the walks is like, I didn't know him before the surgery. I've only known him since he's come on the walks, and like he said, he was massive. He said he's lost like 8 stone or something like that, quite a decent amount of weight. So, yeah, it does work, but you have to change your lifestyle. Yeah, like you said,
it does work. It's hard, right? If people who are that overweight have probably got some sort of, I have an eating disorder, and they've probably got an eating disorder. And by that I mean is you have a bad relationship with food or drink, and you use it for the wrong reasons. So when you're stressed, what do? You go and eat something that makes you feel better, then you feel bad. So then you eat more because you feel bad. So you end up eating the whole pot of Ben and Jerry's ice cream rather than just a little bit of it, because you sort of get into this sort of vicious cycle. And that's the place where I was in, unfortunately. And that's the name. You know, if there's biscuits, the wife will tell you. Trish goes spare. She goes, "Where's those biscuits gone?" "They're in the bin." Because I've had 2, and then I found out I'm going back to them again. So I just chuck them away. Because
that's the way to do it, I suppose. When people go, "Well, it's you haven't got kids and all that, it's there, it's temptation," I will throw it in the bin then.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes, you can manage it, but other times we all get times we eat stuff and go, "Oh God, why did I do that?" And but then it's too late. So I try and resist that temptation sometimes.
And then, just so that, again, for people who haven't heard the previous 2 episodes, you obviously had this massive success, like you said, going from over 30 stone down to initially kind of say 12 and a half,
Yeah.
now settled in around the kind of 13 and a half mark. But you have totally changed your life. Like you said, it's sort of getting on for 6.5 years, is it? Or is it 6.5 years since the surgery? So and you have totally changed your life, which is, and we post occasionally and we talk about it on the podcast. I know when you do these things, like you recently did the Disney marathon, which we'll talk about in a bit, and what's really great, what we'll talk about, is you've got this kind of pattern now where you like to set yourself a goal, certainly for this year, for 2026. You've got some kind of event or something every month of the year, I think, that you're trying to kind of line up. Yeah. So, I mean, what you really do, you really enjoy all this stuff that you're doing now? This is a serious question. Do you really, because people will be asking and thinking, do you really enjoy all this stuff that you're doing now? And have you replaced one addiction for another, kind of, in a way, although it's maybe a much more healthy addiction? Do you know what I mean? I'm just trying to wonder what your thought process is around it.
A lot of people have said that to me, and you mentioned part of the things I do is coaching. So since we were last on, I've been doing a professional coaching qualification so that I can do executive coaching within work and life coaching. And through that process, which takes a couple of years, you actually get coaching. So you personally get the coaching. And I've had some coaching around, have I just swapped addictions? And there is a little bit of that, to be perfectly honest, because that's the sort of person I am. I'm sort of a bit all in. But the reason I do it is, in answer to your question, do I really enjoy it? I love it. I absolutely love it.
You love it more than Matt Sales.
Yeah, but there'll be people that love it more than me, right? There's always degrees. And some people love it after the event, such as Matt does. But some people like it before, during, and after the event, like I do. We're just all different. The key thing is enjoy it. Because if you don't enjoy it, don't blooming do it, right? Find something else that you do enjoy. Now, the reason I do it is because it makes me feel good. So, do you know what? The addiction isn't doing the events. The addiction is it makes me feel good. I get a lot of pleasure. And also, I'm an extrovert, and extroverts tend to be people that get their energy and sort of refuel from being around people. And so, for me, being around and doing things actually gives me energy and refuels me and makes me feel better about myself anyway. So yeah, you mentioned the Disney marathon. You know that some of us in the gym did the Chelmsford half marathon a couple of weeks ago, and 3 of us did it together. Sarah and Matt and I, we ran together. That was such a nicer experience for me than if I'd have gone out and done it on my own. I enjoyed it a lot more. I might have been quicker, I might have been slower on my own. Didn't matter. I'd rather enjoy the event and do something as a, if you like, as a team. So but that's just because of my personality, and I'm that extrovert. But the key thing for why I do all the events is because I can. And there's a bit of a bit of a joke between a few of us now. There's as you know, there's about six of us that sort of train at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning, or a group of six, and there's the various ones of us that are doing it if we don't have a night out. And we get in at 7, and we do a sort of a hybrid of high rocks and nuclear fit sort of fitness training. And the reason we do it, we joke because we can do it and we enjoy it. And there's some of the guys that are doing it now are doing things they'd have never dreamed of doing before, like getting up and coming in at 7 o'clock. But having that team and working together and encouraging it, just it sort of drags you along. But I also find that by having events to do, having a goal also keeps me focused.
Mm.
So yes, I enjoy it, but it also means I've got to do it. And there's been a big learning curve for me. This year I'm in my 60th year, so I want to do a different physical event each month. Last year I did events, but it was just someone said you want to do it, and I do it. I ended up doing 15 events last year, including 7 high roxes, because I love them. And I love that whole fitness racing and type of event, that endurance event. So yeah, I really enjoy it. But this year I'm being a bit more specific and going, I want to mix it up and do 12 different things because why not? Gives it a challenge. People have a bucket list. I guess it's the closest I've got to a bucket list.
So are you calling like a singles high rocks and a pairs high rocks is two different events, isn't it? Yeah. So that's how you get them round. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm cheating a little bit there, but I like high rock. I hope if I can get into them, I'll do more than that. But yeah. So I've already done the a doubles high rocks where Matt Sowers and I went out to Poland last month. And actually I've got a singles high rocks in a couple of weeks' time, but that's just an extra thing to be doing because we can. But
Is that that's the London one, is it?
it's London
Yeah.
Olympia. Myself, Matt Sowers, and Kyle are doing a singles. So we'll see how we get on that. I prefer the doubles to singles, to be perfectly honest. It's easier.
And then you've also, I think, signed up for New York, have you, as well?
Yes. So Carlo, I mentioned, we've had this dream for about a year because the New York High Rocks is unique. Well, it's not unique. There's 2 High Rocks. There's Berlin and New York where the running's actually outside. And as Carl's celebrating his significant birthday as well, as he calls it, we thought we'd go for a trip, celebrate his birthday, and sort of belated one for mine as well. And we get there the second day we're there, we're going to do singles, and we're going to probably be there 5 or 6 days. And the last but one day, we've also booked in to do doubles as well, just for a bit of fun. Because obviously that will be fun, won't it? And we said we won't take it seriously, which we will. So we've got, so singles and double New York High Rocks in June, first week.
Wow. What's lovely as well is all the people you're talking about, Carl and Matt and, I know like Mario and other Matt and everything else. And you've all met like at the gym, haven't you? So you weren't kind of like mates from years ago. So it's kind of like you say, it's like with Pete, with the Walking Solves. When you're doing like a community type activity or you're part of a community, you get to you kind of make friends, and then it adds a whole nother element to it. You're not just training, are you? Or you're not just going for a walk. You're going training with friends, or you're going for a walk with friends. So that kind of replaces I know you still go down the pub, but like the traditional, I'm going to who was it we spoke to, Pete? I think it was Duncan Moore from Let's Get Out, who said, and you mentioned, I think, instead of maybe meeting your friends and going for a pint, go for a walk, and talk, it's kind of replace. Like you say, I kind of was I was half serious, half joking when I said replacing one addiction for another, but it's obviously a far better addiction. It's a far better, healthier thing to be involved in rather than excessive eating and excessive drinking.
It is, and you mentioned the guys. So there's Carl and Diana, there's myself, there's Matt Sowers, there's Matt Wilson and Mario. So there's 6 of us. And last year there's an event in Essex called Nuclear Fit, which is it's a fitness race, sort of along the lines of High Rocks, but it's outside. It's been going for a few years, and they do 3 events a year. All the 6 of us, we did all 3 events last year. And it was amazing doing it together, and you're going around and we're all doing it at different times and whatever, and some are better and some are a bit quicker and slower on certain things or whatever. But afterwards we finish it, we get a picture, we do have a beer, and then we have a little celebration because it's damn good fun. And
Mm.
so, yeah, you get the exercise and then you go out and then you're with your friends and you talk about it and you go, God, that was hard. When are we doing it again?
Is that the one James wimped out on? That one.
Well, I'm doing it this year. I didn't wimp out on it. I can't remember. Was it my foot or something? I did something. I
You did an
pulled my
Achilles or something,
Achilles.
didn't you?
Yeah, it's still. But I'm actually. Steve will attest. I was running next to Steve the other day on the treadmill because I'm doing these 1Ks now. I'm building up to it. Great. 'Cause it's May. It's May, isn't it, Steve? I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
Yeah.
10th of May. Yeah, we've actually got, Pete, there's 20 of us doing it this time.
Bloody
So we
hell.
did
Right.
last September, I think there was about a dozen of us from the gym all got together to do it. So we went, there were six of us, then a dozen. And you got like, if you like, the core six, and then, but we've sort of influenced, cajoled, convinced, bullied other people to join into it. So, but yes, it'll be brilliant because Steph, your wife did it, James, didn't she? And there, there
Yeah.
was there was bits she loved and bits she didn't love so much. She did it, and it was amazing.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great, and I have to say that this is the thing now that you've kind of taken that on board as kind of if you like a leader within the community to kind of get people to do it and sign up and like you say cajoling, but more like organizing and encouraging people to get involved, which is fantastic because like you say you've got people doing it now who a year ago wouldn't have ever dreamt of it, which is
And
great.
and 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 it's the key thing is people can do it, but
Mm.
sometimes they haven't. You need that little bit of they're unsure because if you've never done anything before, right? I remember the first time I walked into the unique results, my heart rate, well, watch told me I was doing exercise. I just walked through the blooming door. But because you're thinking, I don't know what this is going to be like. This could be horrible. Or, the unknown is a thing that messes with everybody's head. So if you can talk to someone and explain what it's like and, help them with the training as well. And so by doing that, you're obviously helping yourself as well. So it's a bit selfish because you're getting someone to train with, but then you're helping them overcome maybe some of the fears or the unknown fears. Then all of a sudden you just get a bit of momentum. And like with anything, if you're trying to get change, whether it's for you personally or as a group or in business, if you can get a quick win and a bit of momentum, it just keeps it going. It's a bit like, if you want to lose weight, you lose a couple of pounds, it gives you that feel good feeling. So you're more likely to stick at it than if you get on the scales and go, oh, I'm the same.
Mm.
So to
Mm.
just get some momentum as a team, as an individual, I think it just works, and that's how I approach things with people and try and encourage them. But by doing that, they will then encourage me to do it, so I get something back for what I'm putting into it. Is my logic.
Mm.
That's great. Sean told me about this at the weekend because we ended up doing 3 walks at the weekend. We usually do 2, but one of them was really busy, so we just split the group and went in opposite directions. So she was walking with these couple of guys, and they were having a coffee afterwards. We were a bit slower, and one of the guys is another guy who's lost about 8 or 9 stone, but he did it. He just did it. He's an all or nothing type of guy, and he was like, right, I'm all in. I'm losing loads of weight, and he did. He was type 2 diabetic and all that, and he's not anymore. There's another guy who is overweight and is type 2 diabetic, but he's coming on the walks. But he goes to the rugby a lot and gets hammered, right? He starts drinking at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon and keeps going and all that sort of stuff, which is fine, fair enough. But he's also coming on the walks and he wants to lose weight and all that sort of stuff. So they've kind of got to know each other through that because the guy was talking about all the medication he's on and all that, and he was naming the medications, and the other guy was like, "Oh yeah, I was on that, and and this is how I got off it, and blah blah." And it was great because he'd basically ordered a coffee, and there was some sugar, and he was like, "There's sweetener there." The guy who's lost all the weight was like, "You could have some sweetener instead." And I noticed he didn't order a flapjack this week, and all of that. And there's like little gentle things. So again, it's like the people who like if you join the gym, like James's gym, and then there's now that community, and then now you've got like you kind of coaching people, I suppose, within that. It's like a but it's kind of coaching, but it's having good like friends who care, and it's not like other friends don't care who go down the pub. Just it's like I don't know, a more healthy environment, I suppose, isn't it?
It's I look at maybe there are degrees of coaching because if you're any sort of coach, you just naturally you tend to be that's your natural style, so you sort of almost slip into some of the behaviors. You're not actually coaching because you need permission to do the coaching, but you are sharing the best practice. You are helping, you are recognizing what, and you're normally a good listener, so you can listen to what people are saying and try, and therefore you can try and share a best practice. Well, like there's some sweetener there and stuff, which just subtly helps people without ramming it down their throats, as it were, but going, you don't want to have sugar because that's got many calories in it. It's much better for you to have a sweetener, because I don't know about you guys, but if someone tells me something, do it, I'm like, well, why have I got to do it? It's better to just be influenced and convinced and do it for the right reasons, and you decide it, which is why coaching's so powerful, because then you're helping the person for them to decide to do something rather than telling them to do it.
But you're probably changing a person's automatic reaction, because he wouldn't have even thought about it. Yeah. So the other guy's just mentioned it and he's like, oh, actually, you're right, and it's like, it might have just changed his decision making, but he has to change it, not be told to. So, yeah.
Because if you go to it, people used to say to me, you need to lose weight when I was really big. Really? I know that.
No shit.
I needed to get my head round it. And then when I got my head round it, I went to an expert and told me what to do. And I decided they know better than me. And I often say this about when you go to a physio and so forth. Do what they say. A friend of mine's just had a hip replacement and she's done amazing. It was like just a couple of months ago and she's already doing like 10, 12,000 steps. She's doing really, really well. And I was talking to her the other day and I went, how's your physio going? And because she's got exercises to do at home. And she went, yeah, I'm not really doing that, but I'm doing all the walking, so it's good. And I went, yeah, but if you're not doing what the physio said in terms of like the resistance bands and getting into the right positions, you need to be doing that, Sue. And she won't mind me mentioning this because we speak about it. I mean, you need to be doing that because they know what they're talking about. Anyway, she went to her physio a couple of days later and confessed she wasn't doing it. And basically her physio went, there's a reason why I'm asking you to do these things. The walking's great and it will help up your speed, everything up. But if you don't do the resistance bands and do the stretching and the movement side of things, that will slow down your progress that you're making, and actually will stop you from maybe doing the things you want to do in 6 months' time in terms of charity walks for dementia and things of that nature. So I'm a great believer in, if you talk to an expert, bloody listen to them.
Because that's, I think, if I remember rightly, the surgeon that you went back to see, or the expert at the hospital after you'd initially had your surgery kind of 6.5 years ago, when you went back, they couldn't believe how much weight you'd lost. And when they sort of said, what have you done? You just said, well, I just did what you told me to do, and but they were so flabbergasted because that's so rare, that someone actually,
it works,
it
was blimey.
It was quite a good line for the people that hadn't heard it. I actually went back after a year to see the consultant who'd done the surgery, and it was at the time COVID was around, so you had to wear a mask. So I walked in and I was like 18 stone smaller, and he said, "Are you Steve Bush?" And I went, "Yes." And then he went, "Oh, I could sit down." He went, "You've lost ever such a lot of weight." So which I responded, "Well, yes, I had weight loss surgery. You did it, isn't that?"
Yeah. That's what I'm here. That's what I was here for. Yeah.
I'm like, that's not a bad thing, is it? And then he went, "Oh, well, it's ever such a lot." And literally, I just went through and I'd done exactly. He went, "You've done everything we told us to, and everything the dietitian said, and you've done exercise and that." I went, "Yeah." And he went, "Oh, that's good." And he's at first time ever in my life at the age of, I don't know, 55. I was a star pupil. I never was a star pupil at school because I never blooming listened. I did my own thing. But I finally realised, do you know what? Especially if you're paying these people a lot of money, you might as well take advantage of it and listen to their expertise and experience. It makes life a lot easier.
It's funny that, because obviously, coaching and like life coaching or all this stuff online and all of that sort of stuff, it all costs money, and people pay people money to tell them what to do. And that's the thing that they think is going to help them. But there's lots of stuff I talk about with the guy who coaches me. And it's like, basically your brain believes you and only you, and it doesn't believe anyone else, right? Like it believes what you tell it. Anyone else can tell you something else. You'd be like, yeah. And you go away and you don't believe it. So it's like, that's how you get out of shape and obese and people who smoke and all that. It's like, you shouldn't smoke, but it's going to kill you. It's like, yeah, whatever, but they'll keep doing it. And it's obvious. Of course it is. But their brain's telling them like, I want to keep doing it. I want to keep doing it. And it's like, I just find that fascinating. So it's like you said, you've got the professionals there to tell you what to do, but you were in the space after 50 odd years of, I want to make a change. Because you would have been, if you hadn't have been in that space, you would have been one of the other guys who goes and gets the surgery and then it didn't work. And then you go back in and they're like, you haven't done what was said. So that's where, like, getting across to the listeners, I want to think like, you've got to want to make the the change. And if you don't want to make the change and you're not there, there's not really that much point in paying a load of people to get you to do anything until you're ready, basically.
Can you maybe, Steve, touch on again? I know we spoke about it the first time you were on, but I mean that was a long time ago. It's probably 3 years ago now. What was it that made you, after, like you say, all of your life, 50 years, 55 years of being overweight, what was the final straw, as it were, that that caused you, like Pete said, you made that decision and you have to decide. If not, it wouldn't have worked for you, just like so many others.
Uh, so people listening to this, when I'm about to say this, half of the people listening or more will groan when I say this, but I'm an Arsenal season ticket holder and I've got an addiction. I've got an addiction to Arsenal. I love it. I go with my son. Hopefully I'll go with my grandson who's recently been born in a few years' time. But I absolutely love it. But it was getting really, really difficult to go to the ground. And what I mean by that is I was taking ibuprofen like they were sweets because my knees were hurting and my lower back was hurting because of my physical weight of carrying it around. We go in the gym and carry a 50-kilogram ball up and down, right? And it's quite hard. And I was carrying double that all of the time, right? So it's hurting the joints. And so before I used to go to the game, I was taking, two 400-milligram tablets of ibuprofen to get on the train, another two a bit later on. I was breaking the rules of what you should take, right? And that was causing me all sorts of problems with my stomachs and whatever. Stomachs, that's an interesting phrase. Stomach. And also getting through the turnstile was getting hard. I used to have to put my arms up in the air and sort of push against it because you go into a turnstile and it's like a gated thing and it's a push to get through because I was so big. And it was quite funny. I've told the story before, but when I lost all my weight and obviously because of COVID, the grounds were shut. And then when I went back, I'd gone from being 30 stone to say 12, 13 stone. And I got to the turnstile and I pushed it so hard like I normally had to do to get through. It literally span me round and I literally staggered out because the back sort of hit me because there was so much more room. I was thinking I was still the size I used to be because my brains took about 2 years for me to get used to being the size I was. But the long and short of it is I just couldn't do the things I wanted to do. And I was like, Christ, life's for living. And I can't live what I want to do now. I had to plan everything. I had to look in a restaurant and look for a chair that didn't have arms because it was too uncomfortable. To six, I was so big. People would go, do you want to do that? And I think, I'd love to do that. I can't because I'm too big. I might have been able to do it, but I was too frightened to even try because I was so big. I knew it would be so difficult because walking was getting difficult and I was sweating so much. And so I couldn't do things. So I thought I need to change. And I think that's really important, James. It's a good question because, and going back to what Pete was talking about with coaches and so forth, coaches help you get your head around so for you make those decisions. But if anybody wants to change, whether it's personal work, you've got to have a why. You've got to have a reason for doing it. And that reason needs to be stronger than the reasons for not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not, you're not ready, then you may need some help or whatever. But that's the important thing. I've got to be prepared to make the sacrifices to be able to do the things I wanted to do. And I was saying no to stuff and not being able to do things I wanted to do. And life's for living as far as I'm concerned. This
is really good because you've started to touch on something that we mentioned before, obviously, and we speak about it a lot on the podcast, Pete and myself with other guests as well. Having to say no to so much because of either you're not able to do it or you don't perceive that you're able to do it, or you might be able to do it, but it's going to be so uncomfortable and you're going to feel self-conscious, or you might just physically not be able to, if it's a trip or a day out or a holiday or an excursion or whatever, or an event. But now you've said numerous times, I think, that you like to do these things just because you can, so.
Yeah, I've spent, you had someone on the podcast the other day, he was coming up to 60 and he'd spent the whole of his life, he'd been really fit.
Phil.
The Geordie fella.
Oh, Phil, yeah.
And
Phil,
I was listening to it and I'm like, whole of your life being really fit. And I was walking the dogs at the time and I'm thinking, yeah, I've been fit for about a tenth of my life. That's bad. So I've got a lot of catching up to do of things that I couldn't do as far as I'm concerned.
There was something I was going to touch on earlier though. And it's one of those things because then again, like healthy addictions and all that, and replacing addiction with a healthy addiction or whatever. So Phil's been training his whole life, and I don't know about Phil, But I just know the way I am at the minute, and a lot of people will get like this. If you miss a session, or if you know what I mean, like if there's something happens, or you're tired or whatever, and you can't do a session, I feel like sometimes I've missed that, and then so you get addicted to doing the training. And if you miss a day or a week of training, you're like, oh no, I've missed that. So that becomes kind of an unhealthy obsession as well, doesn't it? It's a healthy thing to do, but you can have an unhealthy obsession. So I'm not saying Phil's like that, but he's been training for 40 years, but he seems to have it all kind of in balance and everything. But there'll be the flip side of it. You get into it, and then, people do it with all sorts. There's a coach I know who had someone doing cold showers, and they didn't want to miss one. So he just said, right, we'll do 2 weeks without doing cold showers. And they found it really hard. They found it hard to start doing cold showers, and then they found it hard to stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that becomes a thing, doesn't it?
It's a really good point, because like I've got when I work in businesses, I talk about something called an operating rhythm, which is a sort of a structure to how your day or week goes. And I'm a great believer in you have one life, so you can have you have to combine your personal and work structure day together and plan it accordingly. And so I've got a pretty set regime of how I like to train. But because I've done so many events, you have to think about what you've got coming up and swap things around a little bit. And it took me a while to get my head around that, because I'd be like, oh God, I do spinning and boxing on a Saturday. So I'll do that. And then on a Sunday, I'll go out and I'll do a half marathon. And then I think, hold on a minute, that's a bit daft, because I'm going to be a bit knackered. So how do I do that? And so I still train a lot, but I really put time into making sure I have my rest periods, and I need to have 2 days rest a week. And I changed the way I do things. So I've learned now, and it's been lucky because I've had the experts talking to me and telling me not to do too much. But say, for instance, a spin class, I now do a lot of those as active recovery sessions.
Yeah.
So I don't, go flat out. Don't get me wrong, I still get a damn good sweat out going or whatever, but I'm not quite. It's more, and it makes me feel better, because then my legs are a bit of loosened up. So if I did a run on a Sunday, I'll go out and I'll go out and do a spin class. When I did the Disney Marathon, I went out and did running, because there wasn't a gym. I was still doing. I think I did more steps than you that month, Pete, because but it was. I was still going out and running 5Ks after I'd done the marathon, because it makes me feel good, and I just wanted to to be blunt, keep my legs moving.
I learned a great lesson last Thursday. Actually, we usually record on a Thursday. We weren't recording last Thursday because we recorded with Jonathan the day before on the Wednesday. And Thursday's leg day. Tuesdays and Thursdays are leg day. So I went for a long walk, and it was a mistake. My legs were I was walking up this like massive hill, and it was as far as I can get away from home on this walk. So I couldn't just turn around and come back. And it was horrible. It was knackered. And that doesn't usually happen, but it was because I don't usually go out that day. So I just changed my routine around. Well, I hadn't changed my routine. I added something in, and even just walking, which I do all the time, no problem, it made a massive difference. And it was horrible. So I learned a big lesson.
Steve, I want to ask you a question, which I think will be, it could actually be coined the Bush method, which is, I think will be really interesting for like lots of listeners, whereby you trained for the marathon, the Disney marathon that you did at Christmas, kind of New Year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But you didn't really do a lot of running to train for the marathon. You didn't do a lot of distance running, but
No.
you did lots of other kind of aerobic cardiovascular activities, and sort of pre-exhausted your legs, and then did short runs, didn't you? Can you talk a bit about that? Because I thought that was and the reason you did it was because you got kind of slightly knackered knees, haven't you? So you didn't want to like pound the pavement on your knees for miles and miles and miles. So it was actually really interesting. Can you kind of describe what it was?
Yeah. The Bush method, that's an interesting one. So I actually don't really like running that much. Number one, right? And that's mentally, I like doing a 5K, but longer distances I find a bit boring. But more importantly, my knees, I ruptured my quadriceps in my right knee years ago. And because of that, my left leg works harder and my left knee's not great. So I struggle with my knees. So if I do long distances, or I go really try and run quick and I'm pounding it, it does make my knees play up. So I have to run with knee sleeves to give the support, but also give my support mentally to remind me to look after my knees and keep my form right. So when you talk to people and say you're going to do a marathon, there's loads of training plans, but there's a big problem with them all for me. It involves loads of running, and I just didn't want to do it. So the headline was the furthest run I did in the preceding year to doing the January marathon was a half marathon that I did in March. I did a couple of back-to-back 10Ks in September. Then other than that, I didn't do anything over about 8K. But I did lots of 5 to 8Ks, sort of 3 or 4 times a week, but always after I'd done something else. So I was doing I'd do a spin class and boxing and then go for a 5K run. Or I'd do a run, I'd do spin, and then I'd do boxing. On one occasion, somebody challenged me about how long it would take to row 10,000 meters. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I decided to row 10,000 meters, do a spin class, do a boxing class, and then run 5K. So you did your deadlift challenge, and I did that for an hour and a bit, and then went out and run 8.5K, and that was actually the hardest run I've ever done. Because having
Yeah,
That's
because
made
you've
my
done
legs
an
hurt
hour.
just hearing you say it.
That's when I'm actually wearing the t-shirt. That's when we the jumper. Sorry, when we did the dawn of the deadlift, wasn't it? And you did an hour of deadlifts, and then yeah.
and then I went out to run, and honestly, it was incredible because my legs was fatigued. I was fatigued.
Hmm.
But so what I did was I sort of created the environment of my approach was, yeah, if you go out and run 10K, that's all right. It's when you get to 15 and plus, then it starts getting hard. So I was sort of recreating how that would feel, but without having to do the running. And it
Hmm.
worked because I did the marathon, didn't do it quite as I wanted to because the humidity got to me, but I did it. And the following day I got up and my knees didn't hurt and my legs didn't ache and I was fine. So I was happy with that. And it sort of the bush madness worked but
You
it
all,
is about recreating it, and that just makes it more interesting. And that's how I train for high rocks as well. If you a lot of people who do high rocks, and there's some brilliant people there. We've got Laura down at the gym. They do a lot of running. I can't do. I don't enjoy that so much. That's why I do, like you were saying earlier on, James. I do the 1Ks because there's a lot of 1Ks, but I fatigue myself if you like by doing other stuff, and then I keep bunging in the 1Ks, so I get used to running with legs that are tired.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it works for me, and I just think it's a good way of getting into that place where you can sort of get into the endurance without maybe doing traditionally just having to do it for hours on end.
and if
Hmm.
there happens to be a handy roller coaster ride as well, you can do that in the middle of it as well, can't you?
Yeah, so for those that in the Disney Marathon, which if you get the chance to do it, a third of it is absolutely amazing because you've got Disney characters. You're running through the 4 parks in Florida. So you start at Epcot and then you go to Disney Studios, Animal Kingdom, Magic Kingdom, and you finish back at Epcot. It's amazing. The other 2/3 of it, as boring as any marathon I should imagine, is because you're just running through the roads that join the parks up. And
And
then
they're like long. They're long, wide, straight roads, aren't they? They're
oh,
just
when
yeah,
you see a
yeah.
sign, if you drive into Magic Kingdom, you're in like the sort of the dual carriageway, and there's a sign that says "Welcome to Magic Kingdom," and I saw that, and I thought, oh, that's come around a bit quicker. It hadn't. It's 4 miles from that to actually the Magic Kingdom Park. The car park is about a mile and a half long, I sussed out. So it's madness. But yeah, so you run around the parks, there's all the characters, you can have your pictures taken. Running through Magic Kingdom at 7:30 in the morning, running up to the castle is just magical. But part of it at mile 16 or 17, there's a roller coaster, and you can go on that. And I wasn't going to do it. And then this lady said to me at the start, she went, "When else are you going to get a chance to do a roller coaster in the middle of a marathon?" And I was like, that's a damn fine point. So anyway, so I got there and I went, how long's the queue? And it was only for the marathon runners and it was still 20 minutes. So I queued up, did there, got on it, did the roller coaster, and they literally open up the back doors of the event and you just run it and you're back out on the course. And it's just that just talk about jelly legs from when you change from cycling to running in, say, a duathlon or something. It was just like, oh my God, I've just been going backwards down this roller coaster in the dark, and now I'm back running a marathon again. It was just it was bizarrely brilliant, and it's very well organised. And look, the good news is I didn't get overtaken by Pluto or Dumbo or anybody dressed up as a Walt Disney character. You get the world's coolest medal, and you get loads of great experiences. And I did it for a charity called Kids Inspire, which I know you've mentioned before, James, which is a local children's charity based in Essex and supports Essex and Suffolk young children or young people. And because of some wonderful friends that I've got, I raised £2,000 for Kids Inspire, which will help them. So for a good cause, I fulfilled an ambition, had some fun, knackered my toe, but managed to complete it and have some great memories.
And speaking of medals, there's if anyone hasn't noticed, if you're watching, there's a couple hanging up to the to the right of Steve there.
Look at that. This is the I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, the Disney one's brilliant. You bought
Oh,
that
wow.
you brought that into the gym. It's really like a big, like, great medal, isn't it?
Yeah, I can highly recommend it. It's actually worth getting. But yeah, I love my medals and my patches for my High Rocks bag. I've joined in all the people that go, "Why have you got one of those?" And I'm like, "Because I can."
So actually, like you said, 60 years old now, we might as well say.
Oh, no. I know when it comes out, it'll be 60, but I'm still got 2 days left in real world.
Okay. Yeah, 60, well, 60-ish, yeah, nearly 60. And like you say, you've got this year, I know, so what have you got coming up? So we're in March now, aren't we? So yeah, talk us through what you've got booked so far for the remainder of the year.
I've done the Disney Marathon, done the High Rocks doubles. Sorry, I'm having to look at my list that I've got. Uh, I, I've already done my March event, which was the Chelmsford Half Marathon. So those were going to be the 2 runs. But I've actually got something called the Gym Race with Carl in a week or so's time and single High Rocks this month because I've gone a bit crazy. So I could use one of them because I want to do different events. The reason I'm doing that is I might have to do another half marathon later in the year if I run out of different things to do.
Mm.
In April, there's a group of us, the 6 people we've mentioned are doing this thing called a Deadly Dozen, which is another fitness hybrid race where you do 12 400-meter runs, then 12 stations, which is a little bit more strength based. Then May, there's a big group of us doing Nuclear Fit. June, I haven't actually got a specific event. That could be another High Rocks, and we'll have to see how that goes. July, I'll definitely do another Nuclear Fit, but it's the London to Southend bike ride. So I did that last year, but I'm talking about doing it on a tandem this year, so that will be a bit different. August, I'm doing a walk with a friend of mine for dementia, where you do a 26-mile trek to raise money for dementia. We did the Peak District last year, and I think we're going to do Norfolk this year. That's the lady that's having a replacement hip. So she had a replacement hip in January, and she's going to do a 26-mile walk in August. That's her goal. So hopefully I'll be able to help her in that. And then I haven't got anything else planned. Oh, September, I'm doing the Kids Inspire London to Brighton cycle ride on my own. So I could do a tandem, will be one event and a single one. And that's it at the moment. I've got 8 things planned, so I've got to find some other things.
Well, you can do, I think, October as well. We will be, no, it'll probably be, will it be, yeah, it'll be end of October. We'll be doing Dawn of the Deadlift again. So you can do that in October, definitely. So that'll be like a strength one you can do, which will be really good. Because I think even after doing the bit you did, the way your brain works, I think you did an hour, didn't you, last time? But then I think afterwards you were even thinking about how you could, like, maybe have a different what would you call that, strategy, like going into it to, like, lift the different bars and the different weights and all the rest of it. So yeah, that'd be good.
It's just like going back to your question, do I really enjoy it? I do. But I think the main reason I enjoy it, well, 2 reasons. I can do it, and I don't mean to underestimate that. I'm not showing off by saying I can, because anyone can. But the satisfaction you get from doing it, I find, is really making me feel good, because I said no for so long. It's nice to be able to say yes. But you're doing it with people. You're doing it with other people. And then you see somebody else do it, like Sarah, who did the Chelmsford Half Marathon. She took 5 minutes off her PB in a half marathon. That's incredible. And to be able to see someone do that, I think that's really, I'm lucky to be able to experience those things, which they're things I never used to experience. I can remember watching people doing the half marathon thinking, what on earth are they doing that for? And now I've done it the last 5 years. So
I still do that. It's the Bath Half this weekend. And we're like, it goes past our house, goes past my front door. So we'll be there going like, what are you doing?
Why would anyone want? I see people out running. Wouldn't do that. But
Oh, that's great.
It's
Yeah,
a good way to
Steve.
get your steps in. And just on that, Pete, I've got if I hit 5 million steps this year, which I'm aiming for, that will be the 5th year running. I've done 5 million steps in a year.
That's
So
great.
one of the things that I've sort of learned, I call it my life hack. There's a dead easy way to get steps in, and there's things like when you go to park furthest away if you can from the shop. One, you don't get stressed trying to find a car parking spot right close to the shops because you do, don't you? Because you get all sort of anxious and
Yeah.
whatever. So park further away. So that's easy. Two, if there's stairs, take the stairs, not the lift. And three, when you're in an airport, you've been on an airplane, don't go on the walking pavements, walk.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I came off of a flight and it was 80% of the people on the flight had done high rocks. And they were flying back, and it was me and Matt, and I said, "Come on, we're not going on the walking pavement, we're doing a walk." And I reckon the vast majority of people were on the walking pavements. And you think that's madness. You people are really, really fit. Why didn't you just walk on the pavement? It'll do you good. You don't. You just naturally your brain is, oh, it's there. I'm just going to use that.
Here's another one for you as well. When I'm in winter, so when I go down and train the guys in the park, I end up doing more steps in winter. In like before breakfast on a Monday morning, right? I'll be down there 7 to 8, back here. I'll train, so I haven't got my phone on me or anything, and then I'm back down there again, and then come back. I'll do more steps in that time than I will in the summer, because in the summer I'm more likely to be standing around, whereas in the winter I'm moving around because it's cold and I'm stamping my feet and all of that. And it's extra, and you're not walking, but you're moving, and that's like even like people who gesticulate a lot and all this sort of caper, they burn more calories, don't they? So yeah, all of those things. So like meetings, if you're at home on your laptop or whatever. Whenever I'm on a phone conversation with anyone, I get up and walk around the flat. I can't sit down and speak to people. So yeah, it makes a massive difference.
Works brilliant. If you've got a one-to-one with a member, someone you're working with, I find that you get a much better quality. Quality of conversation is much better if you're walking.
Yeah.
Because if you're sitting in an office, you tend to have a list of stuff and you're just ticking the list of stuff off rather than actually going, how's things going? How are you?
I'm looking at doing something like that with businesses in Bath about getting kind of walking meetings and that, but just getting people out and about to get to know each other and get to know the people who they work with rather than just talking about business all the time and get to know customers and stuff like that as well. And I think because your brain works in a different way when you're out and about as well, doesn't it? And you get more creative and all that, and you're more likely to have better ideas rather than it's like, I mean, I used to do it years ago. You sit and stare at a spreadsheet and you can't get the answer. You go away, get a coffee, come back, and you're like, it's just taken me 4 hours to not be able to do that. And you do it in 2 seconds. When you get back, you go, oh, it's there.
I agree.
Excellent, Steve. That is so good to catch up with you again. And yeah, it's just inspiring and thought-provoking and just great. And I wanted you to share that the strategy for building up the legs for running without doing loads of running, because I'm sure that will help lots of people who are listening who are who've got sore knees and are getting a little bit older, and all that kind of thing, or just don't like running very much, and want to do these things just to pre-exhaust yourself, and then do that, because it certainly worked for you. And I mean, you ran the half marathon recently, in a decent time there with you and Matt and Sarah, and like you say, without really doing loads of specific run training for it. So just building up that strength and conditioning, aerobic base, like we always talk about as well, all the spinning that you do, really makes a difference. So thanks so much for sharing everything with us.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me back. And watch out for the next crazy things we can come up with.
Brilliant. Well, I'll see you this evening anyway.
Look
You
forward to
and
it.
Mr. Wilson. We'll do some deadly. It's deadly dozen, isn't it? So I keep calling it the dirty dozen, but it's the deadly dozen, not the dirty dozen. That's like who's the dirty dozen? Was that Gene Hackman? And
It was a war film, wasn't it?
It was a war film, wasn't it? Yeah. It was in that, Pete. Pete's thinking.
Alice.
I have no idea.
Oh, Telly Savalas, wasn't it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, maybe. Anyway,
I'm age now. Oh God! No.
I was thinking Yul Brynner, but that was the Magnificent Seven, wasn't it?
That was the Magnificent Seven, yeah, not the Dirty Dozen. Yeah, Dirty Dozen was a war film, definitely. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for watching, listening. Please do like, share, leave a review if you're watching or listening on a platform that allows you to do so, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts. We'd love that. Give us a subscribe on YouTube. And we will be back next week. Thank you very much, Mr. Steve Bush.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter Lance.
You're welcome.
Brilliant. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Odyssey.